from the 16th of the second month of 1442, the reversal of 20 Judgment, Prince of Cups, and 7 of Swords. Due to the patterns of sight and sound, become like a child again. Waning approaches again, but he remains all solemn. Waxing approaches of ideas untangles more tools than the pen. Will you use caution regarding what returns? Are you hiding instead of action, or waiting to mold yourself to inspiration? Don't let stagnation keep you from your true calling's transformation. And I'm not sure if I got the cards and whatnot in the right order here, because I would have been starting with, let's pull that up a bit there. It would have been the card that in this deck is called Rebirth. And I'm not seeing. So we started with this Rebirth card here. And this guy, if I can get it clearly showing, but share your thoughts if you got some before that.
It's well, just a moment ago, it came to me a sternness, like a sternness of too stern, you know, and procrastination. Procrastination, you know, could hold one back. And it, with the 7 of Swords, to me, it came to me a scene of fighting, you know, fighting and struggle. And one shouldn't have to fight so hard to get to the state of
Usually the 5s are where you see that sort of scene. I can't think of a deck right now where the 7 of Swords is so much of a fight. But then again, you see these swords aimed at each other and all that stuff.
Like an internal fight, one fighting within their mind, you know, struggling within the mind.
So yeah, this time of day is hard to get the things. But see, you got the Prince of Cups. And of course, the cup is actually, you know, when you're not reversed, you have, so you have different moons here. So the 7 of Swords is waning. The Prince of Cups is waxing. But then again, maybe you say, okay, maybe that's waning and that's waxing if you're going to say that every card is reversed.
I see a progression.
The child in the tomb, it's like you know, like how in some churches and stuff, they don't baptize you when you're an infant, they baptize you when you can at least make some level of decision, like when you're 7 or 8. So that's the sort of thing here is the guys in his tomb, which Rebirth is more likely just the death card, because every death is a birth. But the guys, you know, if you notice in the moments where it actually appears, you know, the guys with his trumpet, and there's a rabbit there, and then there's all the spirals, but it's the Judgment card is a card of fire. So what is this? The father birth? The father birth of taking on the system of judgment. Daddy's got the rules and skills. Mother kind of made you care, but dad's got the rules and skills. I don't know. That's one of the things coming through there. But it's both natural and artificial, the process going through. But you're just laid bare for what you are. You're not, because at the judgment, what is it? What is all those people, naked people rising from their tomb? That's usually what you see on those cards. And the prince here on a brown horse. So which apocalyptic thing is that? Which horse is which? There's 4 horses, right?
4 horses, yeah. Let's see, one is white, one is black. Am I right there? And where do I see a red horse?
There's a red one and a pale one and a black one. So I guess this is, well, I mean, it's not necessarily in that context, but because the prince is a step up from the princess or the page. And so there's some water. Of course, it's the cups. So he's got a cup and he's got a
I feel like he's a helper. He's helping something along, maybe.
Well, that's the thing, at least themselves, because you're supposed to move from princess to prince to queen to king, and these are stages that a person can move through. But there's also the dividing of types of people, and that's not necessarily along the lines of what you know, like if you're born in August, your true sign is a queen of air. So that doesn't mean that you're a queen of air when you divide your personality type into the 16 court cards. It's just like a, you know, those horoscope charts are just something you can use. Now those berries, it's ivy and holly and stuff like this. So the rebirth card, we're talking about the solstices. This card mentions the solstices. And see, it's not showing this time of day, whether I had the light on or not.
The lighting.
I
can see some of it. Some of it. There's a little showing it.
Well, it shows completely. It just,
yeah.
See, it disappears.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the rabbit gets so you combine the sun and the moon stuff. So that's what's going on. The rabbit's the moon, and that's the sort of thing. And futility, well, the guy's got writer's block, right? But again, reversed doesn't always mean the opposite, but say, okay, writer's block, you don't need any initiation to have your system of judgment, and you don't need something outside of yourself, because it's like the prince and the king of the cups. See, they're like the big old wooers and stuff like this. So in some the one deck I have, he's the guy singing songs to the woman, and it's, you know, this is the woman for him, and so he's singing all these songs and stuff, and it's like, well, but the point isn't that you're incomplete in yourself, whether you're going to pair up with that person or not. And so, yeah. Oh, and the guy's got a breastplate. Not only does he have different colors, so the rebirth card, you notice he has 3 colors. A green cloak, a blue outfit, and, you know, I guess you could say yellow or whatnot of a breastplate.
Are those like earth colors? The green, the blue, the yellow?
Well, blue's not too much as blue comparatively, you know. Even though there's like water, you know, it's so what is there? A man of earth and a man of whatever. Oh, and there's a stage above. Interesting. There's so you see that bit right there. And that's so, yeah, remember how in the Egyptian pyramids there was like, there's a chamber, and then there's a chamber and a chamber and a chamber. And there's more than the phallic symbolism about that. It's just there's wherever you're at, there's a further step.
Right.
And it's like, because that's kind of unnecessary. Why in the world this? Because you're down there and that other stuff up there, but it does something to you other than, other than actually being there. Because people talk about these sorts of things and they're like, oh, this is just Baroque, and why do we have to have all this stuff? It's like, well, you don't, but it has an effect, and that's part of why it's there. And I don't know what you didn't find. You were you looking up what the horse thing is? Which each horse was what?
It just came to my mind that the horses, they were red, black, white, and another. It just slipped my mind. The 4 horses, but for some reason they're red.
But it's
They're
definitely the thoughtful emotion. There's no red. This is not the red horse. This is.
Yeah.
But it's not the pale horse, and it's not the black horse. So it's the other horse. It's, I guess, a regular horse. But
what was it that the red horse represented?
Red horse would have been war, and black horse would have been death, and the white horse famine is. I don't remember. It's the
Okay.
And the guy's barefoot, but he has this look on his face. Dude has that look on his face, and he's so he's the thoughtful emotion. And but this guy's thinking too, but he's trying to put things down. And
the crest. Yeah.
But it's like you see what's his name with all those guns on his videos or some other stuff. It just gets to the point where you just have too many weapons, and it's more of a burden than it is a help.
Right.
And then if you're the guy who has some really awesome sword, better than most people, and you're like, people are going to come looking for your sword, man, because and they figure you have too many, so it's not as pulling on their heart. What?
Then they'll think, well, he can spare one.
But they're not. Yeah. It's like this guy, he has a bunch, and if it's not straight up the castle or something, yeah, you don't want everybody to know how. That's why if you're going to have a lot of weapons, what you do is you have one of those machines that makes them.
Yeah. Keeping things.
But I'm not saying that either. You don't want to be the crazy gun person. You have defend yourself in hunting. But any closing thought on this, Roy?
Well, with the rabbit in particular, I just felt like it could bring forth a message.
You mean the I don't know, the reddish yellow on the breastplate, or you mean like the well, that's a fire card. The 20th trump is a fire card. That's the elemental fire card. But the what is the other one? The prince there.
Yeah.
So the prince, he wears some red. So he's definitely ready to do some sort of battle, but it's probably an emotional battle.
Yeah.
That's why he's prepping himself, and maybe drinking his glass of courage, which is a bad idea. Because if a person's going to take some sort of drug, no matter what that drug is, to try to loosen themselves up to go and make that decision, there's going to be things that go along with that. That even includes drinking a bunch of coffee, because you're like, oh, what you're gonna, you don't have, you're a little bit, the edge, I guess, is taken off your impulse control, but you're more jittery than confident.
Definitely. Caffeine restricts that blood flow to the brain.
And one of the things about caffeine that a person can do nowadays is that, just like the bath salt, you can not the type I use, I mean the cot, that stuff, is that it becomes, you can take so much of it that you didn't be able to use to. It's like the amount of coffee you would have to go through to get as much caffeine as you can by taking one of those little bottles I don't have one of those little bottles, but just say, you know, about yay size or see, well, if I was feeling better, this would be the time to work. Yeah, earlier in the afternoon next time. But you know, one of those little bottles of that caffeine stuff to put in your drink, instead of a couple drops, people can down the whole bottle and die from a caffeine overdose.
Oh my!
Just like the nicotine and the liquid things.
Yeah,
Very
yeah,
few people could ever smoke that much, and it would take them all day. But when you got that liquid, you can go through it quicker.
yeah, yeah. I don't think a lot of people realize that, you know, the nicotine, you know, it can have a serious consequence, you know, very
And
serious.
I guess let's redo the poem here. Due to the patterns of sight and sound, become like a child again. So yes, that would have been the card 20. Waning approaches again, but he remains all solemn. Yep, Prince of Cups. Waxing approaches of ideas untangles more tools than the pen, and that would have been the Seven of Swords. Will you use caution regarding what returns? Same card, I think. Are you hiding instead of action or waiting to mold yourself to inspiration? That's definitely the Prince of Cups. And don't let stagnation keep you from your true calling's transformation. Now, see, I like the different decks. Not that I'm a mere collector or something, but that, you know, the different forms that they take on do something different. Now, most decks won't do that. That's why I have no interest in being one of these people with 300 decks.
Yeah.
You have basically 20 of any type of deck that's like more or less the same thing. You don't need any of the others to convey any of the meaning. And then on top of that, there's like, do you really need a vampire and a werewolf deck? And
right.
that sort of thing. It's like, to me, there's got to be more of a purpose than that. I mean, I did get the do have the Halloween tarot deck. The Diamond tarot deck is I could do better. And I think even the Shadows, what my series on the Shadowscapes tarot, I did a much more in-depth demonology with the tarot than that deck did. And I think you can actually put something like that on the tarot deck.
I need to check.
And you know, the Shining Tribes tarot deck, the sort of person I am with the archaeology and all that sort of stuff, that really was one of the decks that you know resonated with me.
Yeah, because some decks don't resonate.
But I think there's just stuff you can do with it. It's like people talk about the accuracy of the deck. It's not the accuracy of the deck; it's the accuracy of yourself responding to it, or you're reading other people. That's where the accuracy is. It's, you know, because it's like it's like what, you're going to stop going to church and praying to Jesus and God and all that, and then you're going to pray to a bunch of tarot cards. And it's like, well, I like the Rider-Waite. I like the I like some limited edition ones from this cult, or I like this or that. It's like, okay, but you're praying to their deck of cards. Yeah, people think that they're more guided about that, but they represent the universe, and that's the thing. The different people represent somebody doing not an art deck, not just some novelty deck, but actually whatever, putting their own spiritual path into a deck. That's worth possibly considering. People maybe make their own deck.
That would be cool.
But I do have, more than a couple decks, but I do, as I say, I like to only get what I can. Like there was somebody that I was going to do the Nightmare Before Christmas tarot poem series with. And I thought, okay, for as much as anything else, this is a deck that they'll respond to. but it's as much as I was never really obsessed with the movie, it still was a deck that had a nostalgic effect for me.
Yeah. 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 I completely understand.
But yeah,
have
one of each of the major scriptures, a tarot deck, and a couple other things. That's if I had to wander around with a backpack and do that sort of thing, that's kind of what I would do.
Right.
And I'd have no issue with that, and or no deck at all. And, scratch at my own, like a Lenormand deck. You know, with a Lenormand deck, you take the playing card deck and you put the other stuff with it, like you have a rider, a you know, if we can actually go through the whole list here, if you want. Okay. You've got a rider, a clover, a ship, a house, a tree, cloud, snake, coffin, bouquet, sky, whip, birds, child, fox, bear, stars, stork, dog, tower, garden, mountain, crossroads, mice, heart, ring, book, letter, man, woman, lily, sun, moon, key, fish, anchor, cross. And there are things that people do with the other of the playing cards. But you know, that's the sort of basic thing that's been done with the and some of them have something written on them, some have whatever, but for some people it's just been what to do with the
yeah, I've got a deck like that.
With the playing with the playing cards. You can take the playing cards and tell that stuff. But it's typically just they take 36 cards. But I think the main thing actually started with something else. It started with, okay, we have the playing cards, but we don't want to be known that we're using them like a tarot card deck, so we're going to do something else with it.
All right. What do you think about, like, you have two decks and you use both of the decks in a card layout? Do you think you could get extra insight?
Well, whatever you're going to get from one part, you can get from one part, and maybe you want to get it if you didn't have the other deck there. But you know, basically, what a tarot deck is supposed to be, it's supposed to be a mercurial pentacle. So it's supposed to represent the entire universe, and you're you know, so your worldview gets attached to it. So the better you're able to do that with a particular deck, the better that deck's going to work for you. And you can also, of course, use each part as, whether it's what you worship that you're connecting to in this way, or what you're supposed to do with yourself, or how you relate to others. And you can break up the cards into these categories. Naturally, you would have the stations being the trump cards, and the minor arcana would be the states. But the pips, you know, the 2 through 10s of each suit, those 36 cards would be in that way of thinking, like the states. And then you have the personality types being the court cards, and you have the aces being the elemental basics, basically.
Okay.
So yeah, you can like I've done with the calendar cards. Hold on. So, you know, the Wonderland Tarot. Let's try here to get the cards. This isn't in order, so trying to get the cards of the
Wonderland. It was a cute little deck. Alice in Wonderland and all that.
So what would be the you know, I'm trying that we're getting here. Oh, the hats or the cups.
Yeah, the hats were the cups, and
Okay, so that is the first card we got here of
mhm.
the ace of hats. So I'm not familiar with this. In this
Yeah.
safe 10-6.
Yeah, they
Yeah, I don't know. It reminds you more of the ace than it does
mhm.
of the other. And of course, we're looking for a queen. Oh, the chariot. Is the chariot the chariot's Mr. Crab, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we got the
It
chariot
had
card,
yeah.
and
It
so the guy
included
is the guy on is he on a train and he's being
yeah.
spied on or spying
It
on what's out. I don't know how that relates here. And
right, right.
it's evening of Monday, so the sun sets. So this is the Tuesday card, the tower, and what they're throwing down the animals. So you gotta free your pets before you get to your you get to the other there.
Mm, yeah.
So we're looking for a queen, the card amongst some of this.
It was a very interesting little deck. But yeah, they definitely
Yeah,
changed like
it's harder to get
box score.
this sort of stuff when you've just got the
Yeah. They
not
replaced
the
the sword with something else, and they replaced the cups is a different symbol on there.
some of the decks you just don't get that sort of stuff. Okay, there's a queen of flamingos in here somewhere. And okay, yeah, I didn't get them all on the first pass because obviously there's ace and oh, okay, so there would be a page, a
Mhm.
a page of hats, but we'd be looking at the 6 of oh well, I guess this 6 of flamingos.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
so she's in the boat. You have those people in the boat. Is the lamb dressing up a lamb in a bonnet? What's wrong with this person?
Uh-huh.
Um, oyster, a star. Oh, and of course, it's going to be. It's the Queen of Hats. Is that what we're looking for? Oh no, not the hats. We're not looking for a Princess of Hats, maybe.
It would have been better if they would have been in order, but they're a little bit out of order, slightly.
Yeah, because we oh, the Hanged Man. Yes, this is the element card. So it being fall, and what there's lobster. Oh yeah, because lobster is going to be cooked red in the pot. So we got 5 cards here. So we're